Hello everyone. I welcome you all to this science lesson under the topic the human body. Now, this lesson is based on grade 8 work, and be free to subscribe to my YouTube channel on Arizila Academy so that you'll be able to be notified whenever I post a new tutorial video. And you can also WhatsApp me on +26 0950 766 519. Under the human body, we'll talk on the class of grade 8, and my name is Tutor Andrew Sakana. Thank you. Okay, now we have got topics like the male reproductive system, the female reproductive system, puberty, fertilization in human beings. We have got also important parts for development of the embryo, gestation period and birth, questions and the answers. Now, our first topic is male reproductive system. So I'm going to talk about the male reproductive system and their function that they play. So our first topic is male reproductive system. Now, the male reproductive system is made up of organs such as the penis, urethra, epididymis, testes, and the scrotum. Though we'll also talk about the bladder, but it doesn't perform any reproductive function. So let's begin by explaining the function of the scrotum. So I'll be pointing with a mark. So here, where the scrotum is, this is the scrotum. Now you discover that the function of the scrotum is a skin sac that holds the testes outside the body to keep them cooler than the body temperature. Meaning the temperature to the testes must be lower compared to the whole body temperature, so that there should be a properness of the preparation of or production of sperms. Okay. Now let's go on the function of the testes. Now these are the testes. The function of the testes, they produce sperms and hormones called testosterone. So sometimes you can be asked the question saying, where do sperm produced in men? So sperms are produced in the testes. Okay. We have got also the epididymis. Now, the epididymis is just found here on the coid tube, somewhere here. This is the epididymis. So on the epididymis, what happened is that once the sperms are produced in the testes, they are stored in the epididymis, waiting to be released during ejaculation. So we are saying the epididymis or epididymis stores sperms temporarily before ejaculation. So you might be asked a question saying, where are sperm are stored? The best answer is the epididymis. Okay. Another point is the vas deferens, which is also known as the sperm duct. Now, this sperm duct, let me just write it properly. This sperm duct, this sperm duct carries the sperm from the epididymis to the urethra, meaning sperms are transported by the vas deferens, also known as the sperm duct, from the epididymis where it is kept to the urethra so that the sperms can be released. Okay. We have got also some of the glands such as prostate gland, the corpus viscous, and the seminoviscous. These, they produce seminofluid which feeds the sperm and allow them to swim or give them energy. Yeah. Sperms and the seminal fluid are collectively called the semens. So sometimes they can ask you a question, the male gametes. So the male gametes of the male gametes, it is also known as the sperms or semen. So now when we talk about semen, it means there's a combination of the seminal fluids and the sperms, which is called the seminal fluid. Okay, we're going to talk about also the umbilical, the urinary bladder. This is the bladder. The bladder is found on this part. This part is the bladder. Okay. Now, like I said, the bladder doesn't play any reproductive function, but its function is to store urine temporarily before discharge. Now, the reason why we also talk about the function of the bladder is because it is very much connected to the reproductive system. So we also have to talk about its function, even though it doesn't play any role in the reproductive. So what usually happens is that when it's time for urine, the process of the sperms moving somewhere here, it stops because urine is now active, is now going out. But during sexual time, it also closes this tube. It closes, then sperms will be transported. So sperms and the urine cannot be transported at the same time. All right. So we have got also what we call urethra. Now this is the urethra. There's this pipe which is inside. Sorry, this pipe which is inside is called the urethra. A tube which is connected from the urinary bladder to the outside of the penis is also known as the urethra. Now, in the urethra, this is where urine passes, and this is where also sperm passes, but at a different time. They don't pass through the urethra at the same time. So the urethra allows either the sperm passage or your urine passage at a different time. We have got also what we call the penis. This is the penis. This is the penis. So the function of the penis is that it is placed inside the vagina of the woman to deposit sperms. So that's the function of the penis. It is placed in the vagina of the woman to deposit sperms. Okay, let's talk about topic 2. Now, on topic 2, we'll talk about the female reproductive system and their functions. Under the female reproductive system, we have got parts such as the vagina. This is the vagina. Okay. This is the vagina. This part that I've circled. Now, the function of the vagina, it is used for sexual intercourse and as a birth canal during the normal childbirth. Meaning, during the normal childbirth, the newborn has to pass through the vagina, and this vagina is also its function is also to receive the penis during copulation, which is also known as sexual intercourse. Thank you. Then let's also talk about the cervix. And now you can be able to see that from the vagina to the cervix, the shape is narrow. Here, the shape is narrow. It's not the same with the vagina. So the cervix is a narrow end of the uterus where it joins the vagina. It's a narrow end. It's a small end from the uterus. It becomes big, but as you go to the cervix, it's a narrow. It's small, it's short, like this. So it's a narrow end of the uterus where it joins the vagina, and it has got glands that produces a fluid that lubricates the vagina. So inside the cervix, there are also glands closer to the vagina that produces um, the fluid that lubricates the vagina. Okay. Okay. Yes. So we've got also what we call the uterus. Now, the another name for the uterus is known as the womb. This is where the fetal development happens during pregnancy. So, in the uterus, this is where the fetal or implantation takes place. So, implantation takes place in the uterus. You will discover that, let's say, when fertilization takes place in the fallopian tube, the the developed, or let me say, the fertilized egg is gonna move from the fallopian tube to the uterus. Then it will be planted. It might be planted somewhere here or any other side. So this uterus is also called the house of the developing fetus. Okay. Then we have got also what we call the ovaries. On the ovaries now, what happened is that these two ovaries, might release the eggs. That's why the eggs are produced. On the ovaries, egg maturation and release happened. So once the eggs are released, they are passing through. They are passing through the fallopian tube. The egg might meet a sperm, maybe in or somewhere here, and this egg might be fertilized. So sometimes they can ask you a question saying, where does fertilization takes place? The answer is the fallopian tube. Remember, the fallopian tube is also known as the oviduct. So fertilization takes place in the fallopian tube or the oviduct. So once fertilization takes place in the oviduct, um, the zygote, because remember that the meeting of the sperm and the egg, once the egg and the sperm they meet, the egg will be fertilized. It becomes a zygote, and that zygote will be moving slowly and attached itself on the walls of the uterus, which is also known as the implantation. So fertilization takes place in the fallopian tube, but implantation takes place in the uterus. Thank you very much. Let me just get rid of these points. Okay. Yes. Then we have got also some certain hormones in women that are also responsible for the childbearing and the maintaining pregnancy. So we've got a hormone called the estrogen. It helps control the menstrual cycle and is important for childbearing. When you are asked the question, which hormone is important, or which hormone is important for childbearing, the answer is estrogen hormone. Estrogen also has other function, keeps cholesterol in control. It tries by all means to reduce or to make the cholesterol level be low in women. We have got also progesterone hormone. Is a hormone that stimulates and regulates the important functions, playing a role in maintaining pregnancy. So the hormone that is important mostly in maintaining pregnancy in women is what we call the progesterone hormone. It prepares the body for the conception and regulating the monthly menstrual cycle. So it also prepares the body for the conception and regulating the monthly menstrual cycle. Okay, let's talk about topic number 3. All right. Now, under topic number 3, we talk about puberty. What is puberty? Now your first thing you have to understand what puberty is before you come to the difference between, or the different parts in puberty between male and female. So puberty, yeah. So it is the period of sexual development in boys and girls. Now some of the changes that usually takes place in male is that the chest, this part becomes wide, and in short it becomes enlarged. And also the penis enlarges, the penis also grows in, and the pubic hair grows at the base of the penis, the testes or the testicles grows, and also male also experience wet dreams. Let's say the person will be dreaming as if he's having sex. These are some of the signs of puberty. These are the signs to show that boys are now maturing. from let's say from boys to men. And you have got also the neck, chest, and legs muscle gets bigger and stronger. Yeah, like I've said, the hair under the armpits also grows, and the shoulders get wider. The facial hair sometimes also appear, such as beards. Now, on the ladies, and also the skin gets oil. On the ladies, is that the whole body gets caviar, the skin gets oils as well. Hair under the arms, breast starts to develop, hips bone wider, and the pubic hair as well. Weight gain on hips, legs muscle gets bigger and stronger. They are like the other point, according to the listed notes of God, the body grows in height, hair grows in the armpit, and the pubic hair on the vulva. The vulva is on top of the outer part of the vagina, somewhere here. That's what we call the vulva, the on top part, yeah, or the base part on the pubic. Then I've got also the hips becomes wide, the first menstruation occurs. So these are the signs of puberty in female. The female will experience the first menstruation. It will take place. Okay. You've got also what are the importance of observing personal hygiene and of the reproductive organ? There are some of the important that we need to know, but I will just talk about the 2 points in this video. So the importance of observing personal hygiene of the reproductive organs is to avoid accumulation of dirty, which is also known as the bad smell. If we don't take care of our reproductive organs, there will be a certain bad smell that is going to be produced. And also, to avoid diseases, we have to make sure that we take a personal hygiene of the reproductive organs by washing them with clean water to avoid diseases or accumulation of the bad smell and the infections. Okay, let's go to topic number 4. All right. Now, under topic number 4, now let's look at fertilization in human beings. Now, what is fertilization? Fertilization is the fusion, the joining of the sperm. This is the sperm. This is a sperm, and the joining of a sperm and an egg. Yeah, okay. So you find that there's the joining of the sperm and the egg. They form what we call the zygote. This is the zygote. It's a combination of the nucleus from the sperm, which enters into an ovary. I mean, an oval, not an ovary, but an oval. This is an oval, which is also known as an egg. Now, the contact between sperm and ovum makes the sperm to release energy, which breaks through the wall of the ovum. So the energy, once the two they meet, the sperm produces an energy which breaks through an ovary, an oval. I mean, so a small pathway is created that allows the head of the sperm to enter the ovum. The nucleus of the sperm and the nucleus of the ovum then fuse under the process known as fertilization in the oviduct. Like I said from the previous topic, saying fertilization takes place in the fallopian tube, also known as the oviduct. Okay, so let me do this. Let me get rid of these white blue drawings. Immediate fertilization has occurred. Immediate fertilization has occurred. These are the walls surrounding an ovule or an egg. The wall surrounding it becomes thickened to prevent the further entry of another sperm. So, meaning immediate fertilization takes place, no any other sperm can be allowed to enter. No any other sperm can be allowed. Remember, the whole sperm doesn't enter in the oval or doesn't meet with an oval. This part of the sperm, the tail, it will be cut and only from the head it will enter, because the head, that's where the nucleus is contained. So the nucleus will also meet with the nucleus of an egg, and the tail part will be cut. The function of the tail of the sperm is to help it swim, or gives it energy. It helps the sperm to swim, and also the energy that the sperm receive um, from the fluid which is made from the corpus gland, prostate gland. Okay. So also, like I said, that the seminal fluid helps the sperm to move. It gives it energy. Now, the zygote formed during this process contains information both the mother and the father. Meaning, once the zygote is formed, this zygote, it contains both information for the mother and the father. Once the embryo reaches approximately 5 to 6 days after fertilization, it hatched out and begins the process of implantation. Like I said, in the uterus, implantation is when the fertilized eggs. So the fertilized egg will travel to the uterus and attach to it. Let's go to topic number 5. What are the important parts for development of the embryo? Okay, we have got parts such as the placenta. From here, somewhere there, it's a placenta. The placenta is an organ that develops in the uterus during pregnancy. It is also known as the afterbirth because once the baby is released, or the fetus is released from the mother, it has to go out as well. So the structure provides oxygen and nutrients to the growing baby and remove waste product from the baby's blood. The placenta attaches to the walls of the uterus, and the baby umbilical cord arises from it. So it attaches itself to the walls of the uterus, as you can see. Yeah, this shaded part I'm shading. And also the umbilical cord is arise from it, connected to the developing fetus. Now, what is the function of the umbilical cord? Okay. Okay. The function of the umbilical cord is that it delivers nutrients and oxygen to the baby and remove the baby waste product, meaning nutrients from the mother are delivered to the developing fetus through the umbilical cord. And through the same umbilical cord, there's also a tube or a part where nutrients are delivered, and also a different part where the waste product are taken from the developing fetus to the mother. Okay. And we've got also a part known as the amniotic sac, also known as the amnion. The function of the amnion is that it provides a protection against fluid loss from the embryo itself. So the amnion protects the developing fetus. Let's say it protects the developing fetus, and also the liquid that is found inside, known as the amniotic fluid, from getting drained, so that the child cannot undergo dehydration, or so that the developing fetus cannot undergo dehydration. We have got also what we call amniotic fluid. What is amniotic fluid, or the function of the amniotic fluid? Like I have said, amniotic fluid is found inside the developing fetus. That's why we find the amniotic fluid. So the function of the amniotic fluid is to allow the developing baby to move in the womb. It helps the baby to move in the womb, which allows for the proper bones growth, and also to protect the fetus from mechanical shock. Let's say maybe the mother has fell down. It helps, it's tried by all means that the baby should be protected, and also the lungs to develop properly and protect the fetus from dehydration. So the amniotic fluid inside also protects, or in short, it supplies some fluid to the developing fetus to avoid the baby being dehydrated. Okay. We have got parts such as the uterus, the function of the uterus on the development of the embryo. Its function is that to nourish or provide food and the house fertilized egg until the fetus or offspring is ready to be derived. So meaning the uterus here, this uterus, it is a house. This is the house where the developing baby is kept until to the time of delivery. So these are the function. This is a function of the uterus. Its function is to nourish. It provides food. Okay, we have got parts such as the cervix. Now the function of the cervix here, somewhere here. Okay, yeah, is to maintain the fetus within the uterus. So it maintains the fetus within the uterus. This requires withstanding multiple forces from the uterus, including the weight of the growing fetus and amniotic sac. So it is maintains the fetus within the uterus. That's the function of the cervix during the development of the fetus. We have got the parts such as the vagina. This part, this part, okay, this part. It is the pathway or the birth canal through which the baby leaves the woman's body during childbirth. A normal childbirth, this developing baby will leave via the vagina. Okay, okay, let's talk about the another topic. All right, gestation period and birth. Now, what is gestation? We have to understand that gestation period is the period from the time the zygote is produced to the time of birth. Yeah. So from the time of fertilization, when the zygote is formed, to the time of birth, it is known as the gestation period. Now, the average length of the gestation period in human is 266 to 270 days, which is 38 to 38.5 weeks, or 9 to 9.5 months. But in some other women, sometimes it might be some of them they reach about 10 months. It depends. But the most common ones or the normal one is supposed to be 9 months or 9.5 months. Now, there are also stages of the embryo development. That is the first stage when the sperm meets the egg. It is known as the zygote. Now, the zygote will be developing into an embryo. From there, it will reach a fetal stage, or which is known as the fetus, and at last, it's the newborn. Okay. Then there's also part what we call the birth. What is birth? Or what happens during birth? Birth happens at the end of the pregnancy when one or more newborn infant are pushed out from the woman's uterus. So during birth, the newborn has to be pushed out from the woman's uterus. Now, the following are the stages of birth: the dilation and the shortening of the cervix. So there will be a dilation and the shortening of the cervix. And also from there, we've got what we call the descent and the birth of the infant. And also the expulsion of the placenta. The placenta has to be expelled. It has to be removed. It has to go out. Yeah, that's why the placenta is also known as the afterbirth, because after the newborn is born or the baby is born, the placenta also has to go out. All right. Now, we have come to an end of our explanation on notes. We are going to try to answer some questions in the next chapter. All right. So question 1 says, the diagram shows the reproductive system in the male and the female. Name the part labeled B. What part is B? This part. It's also mentioned this side. So the best answer is the sperm duct or the vas deferens. They've got two names. Okay. What is one? If we are to identify one. Now, one is the fallopian tube. The answers are there. One is the fallopian tube, and this is where fertilization takes place. Okay. Question 2 says, state the function of the part labeled E and the 3. So the part labeled E is what we call the testes. The first thing we have to identify what is E before we explain the function. So E is the testes, and the function of the testes is to produce sperms. Then we've got 3 somewhere here after the vagina. This part is called the vagina, and this part is called the cervix. So what is the function of the cervix? Is to join the vagina to the uterus. It joins the vagina and the uterus. Okay. All right. So let's go to question C. Human beings are able to reproduce when they reach puberty. Define the term puberty. Now, puberty is the stage at which boys and girls reproduce, reproductive system mature. So we know that the puberty is the stage when the reproductive system of both boys and girls they mature. In short, when boys and girls becomes ready to reproduce young one, that's what we call puberty. Question D. Explain two importance of observing personal hygiene of the reproductive system. The two importance of observing personal hygiene is to avoid bad smell and also to avoid diseases. Let's try to answer question 2. Okay. The diagram shows the male reproductive organ. Identify part marked 5. This is part marked 5 and the 7. Okay, 7. Now 5 is the penis and 7 is the testes. Question B. State the function of part 6. What is the function of part 6? Now the first thing you have to identify what part 6 is. So part 6 is the epididymis. This is where sperms are stored temporarily before ejaculation. Before the sperms are released, the sperms are kept in the epididymis. Okay? Explain what would happen if part 2 was to be tied. Let's say part 2 it is tied. What would happen? It means that this man won't be able to produce or to impregnate a woman because the transportation of sperms will stop. Okay. Question D. State two signs of puberty in boys. The penis grows and the widening of the chest. There are a lot, but since the question says only state 2, let's also talk about the question 3. Our last question for today. The question says the diagram shows the female reproductive organs. Name the part labeled B. This is B. This part is B. C. This part is C. And D. So name the part labeled B, C, and D. Now B, it is the uterus, and C, the fallopian tube, also known as the oviduct. Then D, it is the cervix. Question B. In which labeled part does fertilization takes place? Fertilization takes place on labeled part C, which is also known as the fallopian tube or the oviduct. Question C. State one function of the part labeled D. What is the function of the cervix? It will join the vagina and the uterus. Okay. There is a fluid that is produced which lubricates the vagina. Yeah, there are so many functions, so you can just choose one from all these that I've said. On question D, state one importance of observing personal hygiene of the reproductive organs is to avoid diseases. Now we come to an end of our lesson. Thank you for watching. Bye.